Let's begin now with our first award recipient, Ellen Alemany, who will receive the Business Statesmanship Award in honor of Pete Peterson, who was our longest-serving and a most passionate and dedicated trustee of CED. Sadly, after 91 very productive and fruitful years, Pete passed away this past March. Among his many distinguished accomplishments, Pete was also the founder and funding principal of the Peter G. Peterson Foundation, which is dedicated to promoting fiscal sustainability. The CED would like to recognize their team who is here with us tonight. So thank you very much to the Pete Peterson Foundation. Great friends of the CED. Back in 2004, in a Washington Post article, Pete penned an article calling for more business statesmen in America. In the article, he highlighted that true corporate leadership is a kind of business patriotism. It requires taking an honest stand on the great questions that face us. Business statesmanship, which Pete Peterson so well exemplified, is at the very core of the Committee for Economic Development. So here to introduce Ellen is her longtime friend and colleague, Thomas Michaud. Tom is the president and CEO of Keefe, Bruyette and Woods, or KBW, a Stifel company. Tom has spent a 30-year career with KBW. He was named president and CEO in 2011, having previously served as their vice chairman and COO. Under his leadership, KBW has become one of the leading investment banks to the financial services industry, both here in the United States as well as across Europe. In addition to his role at KBW, Tom takes an active leadership role in several civic and economic development organizations and currently serves on the board of the Foreign Policy Association of New York. Tom, thank you and welcome.
Great. Thank you. Yes, thank you. Good evening, everyone. Thank you, Bernard, for the terrific introduction. I'm very pleased to be here this evening to introduce the winner of the Peter G. Peterson Business Statesman Award. The Business Statesmanship Award was established in honor of Pete Peterson, CED's longest-serving trustee, and it recognizes corporate executives who champion issues in the interest of the public good rather than solely their company or personal interests, and who hold themselves to the highest standards of ethics and integrity. This award was created 13 years ago, and it not only recognizes Pete's great energy and vision, but also the fact that he practiced what he preached. As it was said earlier, Pete unfortunately passed away earlier this year. He was not only a successful businessman, cabinet secretary, and financier, but he dedicated himself to making America a better place by actively engaging in public policy debate and was fearless in presenting his positions to benefit the public good. Thankfully, this award endures, and we will have a continuous reminder of Pete's contributions. In the early years of this award, Pete had personally introduced the winner. I had an opportunity to go back and see many of those introductions for America's finest business leaders. In doing so, it became evident to me why Ellen Alemany is this year's award recipient for the Pete Peterson Award. Ellen has a highly accomplished career. In addition to a successful role at CIT Group, where she ran several businesses, she also successfully led Citizens Financial Group through some of the most tumultuous times in American banking. 3 years ago, Ellen took the helm of CIT and launched a multi-year transformation of the company. Into this plan, the company is now simpler, stronger, and poised for sustained growth. In addition to transforming CIT's business and operations, she is equally focused on enhancing the corporate culture, creating an inclusive workplace that emphasizes giving back to the communities and always thinking about their customers first. Under Ellen's leadership, CIT has built a diverse management team and board, with each comprising 1/3 female leaders. And earlier this week, perfect timing for this event, Ellen was named one of the 3 most powerful women in banking by American Banker. With this selection, she was celebrated for advancing women within CIT among her many other accomplishments. Ellen also takes time to give back. She serves on the board for Center for Discovery, where her daughter is a resident, and she has been an active supporter of the work they do to support the health and wellness of those with special needs. And she drives a culture of social responsibility at CIT, having initiated an employee volunteer program and charitable matching gift program that empowers employees to give back to the communities where they live and work. I think no one better exemplifies the spirit of Pete Peterson than Ellen. She holds herself and those around her to the highest standards, and like Pete, she believes that the business community and its leaders need to also focus on the public good and to show this spirit with their actions in addition to their words. Please join me in congratulating Ellen on this year's award.
Good evening, everyone. I want to start by thanking the Committee for Economic Development and the Board of Trustees for this recognition and the honor to be here tonight. I also want to recognize my fellow honorees, Michelle, Greg, Manny, Beth, and Julie. And as Bernie mentioned, I would be remiss if I didn't point out that the girls beat the boys tonight in racking up the awards. Great job, ladies, and to you too, gentlemen. And I also want to thank Tom for that warm introduction. And of course, I want to recognize my husband, Jack, who is here with me tonight, as well as my CIT colleagues. It's my honor to accept this award, which recognizes how business can make advances for the common good. And with Peter Peterson's passing earlier this year, it feels like a fitting tribute to ask each of us to embrace the spirit of this award and take that extra step to show how business can truly be a force for good and uphold the highest standards. My interest in business started early. My father owned a small liquor store in the Little Italy neighborhood of the Bronx, and when I was a teenager, I would find myself in the shop helping him gift wrap bottles, work the cash register, or do whatever else needed to be done. I loved being part of the business, but there were also some important qualities that were ingrained from a young age. Things like integrity, grit, and service. At the time, I saw this from the perspective of a small business owner. You had to have integrity because people depended on you. You certainly needed grit because running a business is hard, and running a small business means that you wear many hats. And you had to be of service to your customers and the overall community. Since that time, I've had the good fortune of a 40-year career in banking, and during much of that journey, I've actually worked on the commercial side, helping businesses grow. I've seen how a growing business can help a community thrive and provide long-term economic and societal benefits. And so it's completely fitting for me to be leading CIT, a top 50 bank that is focused on empowering businesses. While I can certainly spend my time up here talking about the great and important contributions that banks have made to the community, I thought I would flip it around and instead talk about how our customers, the small and mid-sized businesses across America, are in fact the backbone of a thriving economy. There are about 30 million small businesses operating in the U.S. today, and they provide more than half of the nation's jobs. And roughly a third of all small businesses are owned by women, and that number is still growing 2.5 times the national average. This is important progress. The more inclusive we can make the business community, the more sustainable it will be for the future. This entrepreneurial spirit is a big part of the economic engine and what we can do to be that banking partner that understands their vision and can help them grow and thrive. This is what the CIT team is focused on, and I find that those early lessons of being part of a small business family still hold true. It all starts with integrity, and it's more important than ever in these complicated times. Doing what you say you will do, and being the leader and the business that people can trust is so important. Business can be a force for good, but first we have to do good, and that's all about integrity. Then there is grit. For me, this is about resilience. I often get asked for advice on how to advance your career or a particular goal, and usually the answer is about having grit. You won't win every fight, every deal, or every promotion the first time around. The key to long-term success is to be resilient and agile enough to dust off and try again. Progress requires grit. And lastly, being of service is tremendously important and embedded in the spirit of this award. Early in my career, I used to think it was about serving customers, and that's certainly part of it, but it's really so much more. As leaders, we also need to be of service to our employees, our colleagues, and communities. A strong workforce is empowered to deliver for customers, and when your business is successful, it has tremendous follow-on effects in the community. And I've always found that when a community prospers, business prospers. At CIT, some of the things we are doing, including creating a series of balance and wellness initiatives to drive a healthy workplace, developing a small business empowerment series called Launch and Grow, where business owners from across the country could share their advice and wisdom with others looking to grow their company, and planting nearly 20,000 trees in California and Florida that were hard hit by the natural disasters. These are just a few ways of how we're trying to be of service, and I can tell you it has far-reaching effects for those doing the work and for those that it touches. Before I wrap up, I want to read a quote from a letter Pete Peterson wrote to Warren Buffett in 2010, announcing his participation in the Giving Pledge, which is a commitment by some of the most successful business leaders of our time to commit their resources towards giving back. His quote goes, "As I watched and learned from my father's example, I noticed how much pleasure his giving to others gave him. Indeed, today, I get much more pleasure giving money to what I consider worthwhile causes than making money in the first place." At its heart, this is about being service in whatever ways we can find and finding great satisfaction in doing so. In closing, I want to express my sincere gratitude for this award and the Committee for Economic Development for celebrating these qualities in the business community. Thank you.